Hi everybody and welcome to Rocco Baby Crochet. I hope you're all well and having a great week so far. A massive warm welcome back to all my regular viewers and subscribers. It's lovely to have you here and thank you for supporting the channel. A massive warm welcome to anybody who's just found the channel for the first time. I hope you enjoy this free pattern and tutorial. Stick around and consider subscribing so that you don't miss out on my next free pattern or tutorial, and it also really supports Rocco Baby Crochet as well. Now I don't normally sound like this. I'm actually losing my voice. I don't feel poorly, but I seem to be losing my voice. I'm a bit croaky, so bear with me. I hope it doesn't put you off the tutorial too much. So this is a really fun pattern that we're doing this weekend. So I've made this mini stockings which I'm going to hang on my tree. I've also actually hung one in my car. I made the pattern up in a purple colour when I was designing it, and I've added some little essential oil beads to it, and I've hung it in my car as an air freshener, and that looks really cute as well. In fact, I'll pop a picture in for you so you can see. But it's really fast. It takes about 30 minutes to make one of these little decorations. I'm going to put mine on my tree and I'm going to put some little treats for people inside it, and I just think that they look really cute for Christmas and they're so much fun to make. The free written pattern is available over on my blog for you, so if you do prefer a written pattern then head on over to my blog and I'll leave a link to the written pattern in the description of this video. If you do make one of these mini mitts or any of the other Christmas patterns that I've got out at the moment, I'd love to see how yours turned out. Join us over on the Facebook group. It's a lovely little community over there and we have lots of fun. I'll pop the details of the group on the screen now for you. So let's take a look at all the materials we need to make one of our lovely mini mitts. Here's everything that I'm going to be using today to make my next pair of mini mittens. So I'm using the Cygnet's Pato Everyday double knit yarn. I've got the colours white and red. You'll also need a 4mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, a darning needle, and also a stitch marker will come in handy with this pattern as well. Just in case you was wondering, for the purple set of mittens I've hung in my car, I've used the Stylecraft Naturals organic cotton, and the purple colour is called Amethyst. And then for the white cuff, I've just used the Rico Designs Essential Cotton double knit. So any double knit yarn that you want to use, they work out lovely in both acrylic and cottons, so it's completely up to you. The gauge of the project isn't really that important, with it just being a decorative item, even if you wanted to go down a finer yarn size, as long as you change your hook accordingly to what the yarn recommends. So let's learn how to make our mini mittens together. To begin with, we need to make ourselves a magic ring. So you're going to lay your loose end of the main colour that you're choosing to make your mitten out of just over the back of your hand like that. Then we're going to wrap it around these two fingers, making the letter X, and pull it straight back down. When you turn your fingers over, you should have two parallel strands of yarn just over the top of your fingers. Pop your hook underneath this first one and grab onto the second one and pull it straight underneath. Then you're going to twist your hook upwards, grab back onto that second strand of yarn and pull through the loop that's on your hook. And that's how we make our magic ring. If you do struggle with the magic ring, I know a couple of people do, I have done a slower video for you just to show you. And if you really are struggling, you can use the chain 4 method for this project because they are only decorative items as well. So once you've got your magic ring to a size that is workable for you, what we want to do is we're going to place 6 UK double crochets into this magic ring and also around this loose end. Don't forget that I use UK terminology, so in the US they are single crochets. So you're going to insert your hook into the magic ring and underneath that loose end. So it's important that we crochet over this loose end for when we pull it together a little bit later on. Yarn over and pull up a loop, and you'll have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through both loops, and then we're just going to place another 5 in there, so in total we have 6 double crochets. So there's my first 2. Now don't forget, if you are newer to crochet, pop your stitch marker into this very first double crochet that you've made, just so we don't lose it when we come to join in the round. So I've just done 2, back into my magic ring and place a third, 4, 5 and 6. So then when you pull on your loose end, it will draw your magic ring together and it will close that gap up. So this is going to be the very top of our mitten where our fingers would be. So what we want to do now is pop your stitch marker out of your very first stitch that we did, and we just want to slip stitch to that first stitch to join. And then we're going to chain 1. So we'll join every round in that way. Don't worry if this little hole here in the centre where your magic ring is pulled together comes a little bit loose. You can keep tightening it up as you go along. It sometimes can do that. So then into every stitch around for round 2, we need to make 6 double crochet increases. So it means we're putting 2 double crochets into every stitch around, and we'll be increasing our stitch count to 12 for this round. So we're going to start directly underneath where our chain 1 is coming out of. So just insert your hook back into that space, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both loops, and then go back into that very same stitch and place a second one. And you're going to do that into every stitch around for round 2, and at the end of round 2 your stitch count will be at 12. So I'll just move into my next stitch and place 2 double crochets into there. So if you want to press pause, make your way around and come back to me when you have reached the end of round 2, and we'll move up to round 3 together. I've just placed my last double crochet of round 2, and I just wanted to make you aware, be careful that you're not putting an extra stitch into this here. This is actually your slip stitch and shouldn't be worked into. Make sure you're counting your stitches. At the end of round 2 you should have 12 stitches in total. You can pop your stitch marker out, and then we're going to slip stitch to the very first stitch of round 2 just to join that together, and chain 1. So for round 3 what we want to do is we're starting underneath our chain 1, and we're going to be placing 1 double crochet increase into that very first stitch. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops, then back into that very same stitch and place your second double crochet, and that's your double crochet increase completed. Then into the next stitch you're going to place 1 double crochet on its own. Don't forget to pop your stitch marker back in just so you can keep track, and that's going to be your round repeat. So into the next stitch you'll place a double crochet increase followed by 1 double crochet on its own, double crochet increase followed by 1 double crochet on its own, all the way around for round 3, and your stitch count at the end of round 3 should be 18 stitches. So if you want to press pause while you make your way around, and then come back to me when you're ready to move up to round 4. I've just placed my last stitch of round 3. I've checked that my stitch count is 18, and it is, so I'm all correct. I'm just going to pop my stitch marker out of that very first stitch, and again we're just going to slip stitch to join. So you'll do this joining method in all of your rounds, and chain 1. Now rounds 4 through to round 11 are really simple rounds. We're just going to place 1 double crochet in every stitch around. Your stitch count for all of these rounds 4 through to 11 will remain at 18, and again you're starting just underneath where your chain 1 is. So you're going to insert your hook underneath your chain 1, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops, and then move on to your next stitch and place a double crochet into there, and 1 in every stitch around. Again, a total stitch count of 18. Don't forget to use your stitch marker. At the end of each row you're going to slip stitch to join and chain 1. So if you carry on, press pause, come back to me when you are finishing up round 11, and we can move on to round 12 together. I've just placed my last stitch in round 11, and your mitten should be looking a little bit like this at this point. So I'm just going to pop my stitch marker out, slip stitch to join exactly how we have done in all the other rounds, and chain 1. For round 12 we're just going to place 1 double crochet into the first 14 stitches, and again we'll start directly underneath our chain 1. So we'll go into there and place our first one, and then we need to do 14 in total. So there's 1 and 2 pop your stitch marker back in if you're using one. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, I'm all fingers and thumbs today, 14. So then you should have 4 stitches left, 1, 2, 3 and 4, remembering this little part here is my slip stitch. And what we want to do here is we're going to create the space where we're going to add the thumb a little bit later. So what you want to do is just chain 4. So you're going to yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through, that's 2, 3 and 4, and then pop your stitch marker out of this very first stitch here of round 12 and just slip stitch to join to that stitch. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull through and pull through again. So for round 13 and 14 we're just going to place 1 double crochet in every stitch around, including 1 into each of these 4 chains that we've just made. So in total our stitch count will be 18. So let's do round 13 together while we've got these chains to work into. So again we're going to start directly underneath our chain 1 and place our first double crochet there. 1, 2, 3, don't forget to pop your stitch marker back in if you're using one. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14, and that should bring you to your 4 chain stitches that we made. So I just like to pick up 1 loop of my chain as I'm working into each one of those, and you should have 4. So we're just going to place 1 double crochet into each of those 4 chains. So here's my first one, just picking up 1 of those loops and placing a double crochet, moving into my next chain, pick up 1 of the loops and place your next double crochet, move into my next chain, pick up 1 loop and place a double crochet, and move into my very last chain, picking up 1 loop and placing the last double crochet. And at this point now your stitch count should be 18. Pop your stitch marker out of the first stitch of round 13 to slip stitch and join and chain 1. Round 14 you're just going to go around and place 1 double crochet in every stitch around, and your stitch count at the end of round 14 will remain at 18. So if you want to press pause just while you make your way around and come back to me when you're ready to move up to round 15, which is the last round of the mitten, and we're going to add the white cuff at that point, so you'll want to get your second colour if you are changing colour. I've just placed my last double crochet of round 14. I'm going to pop my stitch marker out of that first stitch and I'm just going to slip stitch to join. and then I'm going to chain 1 and fasten off. So I like changing my colour here this way just because it makes it a little bit more secure. Leave yourself a nice enough length of a loose end just to weave it in. But if you do want to use a different method for changing your colour, you can always use your preferred method here. Or you could just continue and make one solid colour mitten. They look just as nice. I've made a couple of those as well. Pull firmly on your chain 1 just to secure it, and I'm just going to weave this loose end in at this point. So just grab your darning needle and pop your loose end onto there, and then on the inside of the mitten I just like to pick up the back loops only of a couple of stitches and just weave that in. And then when I go up and down a couple of times, and each time I go up and down I skip this very last one that I work my needle under, otherwise you'll just pull your yarn straight back through. And I always do that 3 times. So my last one, and I'll do that for every loose end in this project. Because they are little and decorative, I do like these to be neat. And then you can just trim that loose end, just give a little pull, make sure it's not pulling on anything before you do. Don't want to be pulling your mitten out of shape in any way. Then just trim your loose end off. Then we'll turn it right side out again. So I've just popped a different project underneath while I'm working in the white because my desk is white and it makes it difficult to show up. This is actually the Lady Tilly dress that we made last year. So I'm just using that just so you can see what I'm doing with the white yarn. So you want to make yourself a slip knot if you're changing colour in the same method as I am, and pop it onto your hook. And I like just to add it again where I tied off round 14 of the red, and just insert your hook there, and that keeps your seam all at the same place on your mitten for you. And you're just going to slip stitch that to join and chain 2. That chain 2 doesn't count for a stitch. This loose end I'll just work around as I'm going around round 15. And for round 15, starting where our chain 2 is coming out of, we're going to place a UK treble crochet. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that same space that we've just joined, yarn over and pull up a loop, and you should have 3 loops on your hook at that point. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, and that's your first stitch of this round. The chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch here, so then you'll yarn over, move into your next stitch along, yarn over and pull up a loop. Again, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Pop your stitch marker into that first treble that we've just made, and then we're just going to place 1 treble crochet in every stitch around. At the end of round 15, your stitch count will remain at 18. So if you want to press pause while you make your way around, and come back to me when you are ready to join round 15, and then we can make the thumb together. I've just placed my last treble crochet into round 15, and again I've got my stitch count correct. I'm at 18 stitches. I'm just going to pop my stitch marker out of the very first treble that we made, and it's into that first treble you want to be slip stitching to join, not into the chain 2 that we made. So just insert your hook into the top of that treble, underneath both strands of yarn that make up the top of the stitch, yarn over and pull through again just to join, and then chain 1 if this is your first mitten. So when you come to make the second one, I'll show you a little bit later on in the tutorial how I finish off the second mitten. So then I'll pull up on my chain 1 and hold that chain 1 between my thumb and finger and pull firmly just to secure that, and then you can just weave in this loose end exactly how you did your red loose end a little bit earlier, and then grab your red colour and we'll add the thumb together. So when we're adding the thumb, what you should have here now is you should have 4 stitches here, and then you should have 4 chains here that we can still work into, because we only worked into 1 loop going around round 13 if you remember. So that makes 8 stitches, and then where we want to put an extra stitch is in the side of this double crochet here and 1 in the side of this double crochet here. So in total we're going to work 10 double crochets around this space. So 4 going, 1 in each of these 4 stitches, 1 in the side of this stitch, 1 in each of these 4 chains, and 1 in this side stitch here. So I like to join my yarn with a slip knot again and pop that on your hook and just join your yarn in this very first stitch here. So we're going to join with a slip stitch and chain 1. Now normally I would carry my yarn around just to make it easier, but I won't. I'm just going to pop it inside just to make it clearer so you can see what I'm doing a little bit easier, and I'll weave it in later for this one. So where my chain 1 is coming out of, I'm going to place a double crochet into that stitch and 1 into the next 3 stitches, so that's 4 in total. 2, 3, and 4. Don't forget to pop your stitch marker into this very first stitch. It is handy when you're doing the thumb because it is quite small and it's easy to lose track of your stitches. And then I'm going to go into the side stitch here, so I'm just going to insert my hook into that space and place a double crochet there. So that's 5 double crochets I've got, and then I'm going to work 1 double crochet into each of these 4 chains, so you should still have a loop that you can pick up or 2 loops you can pick up. So that's my 6 double crochet, move into my next chain and place my 7th, then move into my next chain and place my 8th double crochet. You should just have the 1 chain left now just to place your 9th double crochet in, and then 1 in this very last space here, just the side stitch of that double crochet there, so that's 10. So the way that we work the thumb is in a spiral, so I'm not going to slip stitch to join. I'm just going to work my next double crochet into this very first double crochet that we did without slip stitching and chaining 1. So pop your stitch marker out of there and then insert your hook into the top of that stitch and place a double crochet, and then you're just going to place 1 double crochet in each of those stitches that you've just made. So your second round will have 10 stitches again. So then I'm going to move into this next stitch and place my 3rd, move into my next stitch and place my 4th, and then that should bring you to the double crochet that you did on the side, which can be a little bit smaller to see, but if you just look at it from above you should be able to see the 2 strands of yarn that make up the top of that stitch. So there's my 5th stitch, move into my next stitch, so there's 6, 7, 8, there's 9, and just my very last stitch just here. It's a little bit difficult to see because it's so small, but you can just see it there before my stitch marker, and that's my 10th stitch. So we're just going to go around again in exactly the same way 1 more time. So pop your stitch marker out. It's a little bit easier for this next round because you've got a bit more work to hold on to. Placing 1 double crochet in every stitch around. Your stitch count for the 3rd round of this thumb will remain at 10. Don't forget to pop your stitch marker back in because we have just got 1 more spiral left to do after this one. So I've just done my 2, 3, There's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So we've just got the one last round to do of this thumb, so I'm going to pop my stitch marker out of that very first stitch, and we're just going to do a little bit of a decreasing round just to shape the thumb a little bit. So into this first and second stitch we're going to work a double crochet decrease. So insert your hook into that next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. Move on to your next stitch along, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Then you're going to place 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. So there's 1. Don't forget just to pop your stitch marker back in that very first stitch that we've just made, just so we don't lose it. So there's my first double crochet, 2, and 3, and then we're just going to make another double crochet decrease. So insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, insert your hook into your next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. Again, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, and that should leave you with just 3 stitches left, and you're just going to pop 1 double crochet into each of those stitches. So there's 1, 2, and here's my last one for 3. Now what we can do is pop out that stitch marker from your very first stitch, slip stitch just to join that 4th round, and chain 1, and leave a long enough of a loose end for you to weave it in. Pull up on your chain 1 and place the knot between your thumb and finger and pull firmly, and then you'll just want to grab your darning needle. I've just threaded my darning needle on, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick up the front loop of the top of each of those stitches that I've just made. So that's the loop that is closest to you. So just working them from the front, going underneath the front loop only, all the way around. And then once you get back to the beginning, if you pull on that gently, it'll just pull the top of that thumb together nice and neatly for you. And then I just thread it through the centre with my needle. Give it another little pull just to make sure everything's secured nicely. But I still want to keep that nice round shape of the thumb at the same time. So just make sure you're happy with the shaping of it before you fasten off. Then it's easier if you turn your little mitten inside out again, and then you can just make a little knot on the inside here where it won't be seen. Again, always place the knot underneath your thumb and finger so it doesn't pull anything out of shape, and then you can just weave in that loose end exactly how we've woven in all of our other loose ends. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera, and I'll let you weave in your loose ends. You're going to want to make a second mitten, and I'm going to make my second mitten again off camera. And what I'm going to do when I make the second mitten is I'm going to add the thumb before I add the cuff. So if you want to do that, then come back to me when you're ready to add the cuff. We can add the cuff together and then join the 2 mittens together. So the video is all time stamped for you, so the main main body, the cuff and the thumb, so make the most of those timestamps running along the bottom of the video, and I'll see you when you're ready to join your second mitten. I'm just at the end of round 15 and I've already added my thumb, so I've got my 2 mittens, and I'm just going to slip stitch to that very first treble crochet just to join. And then what I'm going to do just to make my hanger is I'm just going to chain 30. So I like to make my hanger a little bit on the longer side because you can always tie a knot in it up at the top if you want it to hang shorter on your tree, but it's a bit difficult if you want a longer hang then to add on to it. So I add a chain of 30 at this point. If you do want it longer or shorter, then feel free to chain as many as you want. So you're just going to yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 and 30. So then I'm just going to slip stitch it just in the middle here underneath where my thumb would hang, just to join that. So insert my hook into the top of that stitch, yarn over, pull through again and chain 1. Leave a long enough loose end to weave that in. Pull up on your chain 1, place the chain 1 between your thumb and your finger and pull firmly on that. And there we have it. So it's really cute, really fast. When I'm just sat making these mittens and I'm not filming or anything like that, I can generally make a little set in about 30 minutes. My voice held out, thank goodness, for this video because I really wanted to get it out because I was aware there wasn't a video last weekend because I was writing up some patterns for you. This pattern is available over on my blog if you prefer the written pattern. Please don't forget, if you have enjoyed this tutorial, give me a thumbs up and a comment. It really does support the channel and lets YouTube know that you're enjoying this video. If you don't want to miss out on my next free pattern or stitch tutorial, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I really do hope you've enjoyed this one. Take care, have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you real soon. Happy hooking, bye!